helpful tips on all things real estate. The Home Premier Network is brought to you by the #1 real estate team in Statesville at Gallagher Home Team, powered by Keller Williams. When only the best will do, then you need the Gallagher Home Team, strengthening our community one house at a time. The Home Premier Network airs Saturday at 10 a.m. and Sunday at 3 p.m. right here on 92.9 and 550 WAME.
Real Country 550 and 92.9 WAME.
Welcome to Racing Roots with Hamm.
If you don't know our host, David Hamm, he's a 25-year NASCAR veteran, engine builder, and jackman.
Live every Monday evening, we have a new guest
From the racing world with their stories, their paths,
their
racing roots.
Sponsored by Jersey Cape Yachts.
Now here's our host, David Hamm.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome to Racing Roots with Hamm, right here on 550 AM, 92.9 FM, and DHammiam on YouTube. So y'all can tune in live if you want to see us here live in the Randy Marion studio, because we have Richard Yates in with us this evening. So if you haven't heard of Richard Yates, you've all of you have heard of Robert Yates, of course, and the Yates family are synonymous with NASCAR. Legendary. And we have a little bit of an echo, so Bryson's going to take care of that. So we do have a studio audience this evening. They come out to see Richard. What do you think about that, Mr. Yates? Your studio audience.
I love the studio audience here today. I was real surprised to see Nick Ramey and his wife Lynn and the other ones showed up.
Yeah.
And Tommy Johnson is also here. He's my chauffeur tonight.
And Jeff Saunders. Saunders, that's it, yes.
And good to see Jeff. I hadn't seen him in a long time. So I'm nervous but excited to sort of just be on a talk show just to let you know that I'm still around.
Yeah, well, I'm so glad you're still around.
Yeah.
And I talked to you I guess it's been about 2 weeks ago. Maybe,
right.
Thereabouts. And I was really excited to talk to you and hear that you were doing well. And then we talked about having you come up here, and you were like, well, I'm living in Myrtle Beach, and you're back and forth between there and Florence.
That's
now.
correct.
Yeah.
Yes. I have sold my house in the Charlotte area back in November, and I've decided just to move all my stuff to the beach house. And my wife is in a nursing home, Judy. Mm-hmm. She's in a nursing home in Florence, South Carolina, where my daughter and her husband work and live. So I spend a lot of time with them. And so eventually maybe I'll be more at the beach.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I've been to is it the same place, the condo you had at the beach?
It is. We bought it about 16 years ago, and it's a nice townhouse with 3 bedrooms and, living room, dining room, and so forth. A couple of screened-in porches and a private elevator and a double garage and so forth. So in a gated community, and we love it there. So it's very safe.
Yeah. So the way that I found you down there, let's say I found you, is, of course, we worked together over at Rouse Yates Engines, and I was walking, I don't remember what I was doing.
We were driving down the street and saw him on his golf cart.
That's what it was. Yeah. There's Richard Yates over there. And so we went and talked to you, and you said, well, come on, follow us over to your place.
Yeah. Yes, that's been several years ago. I was trying to remember what year it was, but anyway, it was good for y'all to show up and at the beach house and so forth, and good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. I think we overstayed our welcome probably. I think we were there probably an hour, but when we
no, you could have stayed.
Oh man!
Spent the night.
Okay,
I guess.
all right.
I've been fine.
I'll remember that next time.
More the merrier, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I'm sort of a loner now when I'm at the beach, so I need some company.
All right, don't tell us that.
Yeah, we'll see you next.
I'd love to have that.
Let's see, this next weekend will be available.
Okay. Okay. How long you want to stay?
There you go.
Actually, we could go. Well, I have a timeshare down there myself, and it's actually coming up, but I don't know that we're going to be able to go, unfortunately. So We'll talk about that though. So if you don't know Richard Yates, he's the brother, the older brother of Robert Yates, but you're a twin. So there's a story behind that, and of course you're the uncle to Doug Yates.
That's correct. Doug is my nephew, and we have done a lot of work over the years since he was probably about 10 years old or something like that, in that range. We did a lot of work over at DiGard when my brother was the engine builder at DiGard and so forth. And it just a lot of good memories about DiGard, and I love racing.
Yeah.
And I got it in my blood, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing.
I was thinking about that earlier today. It's like you didn't grow. I mean, you grew up. Y'all were drag racing up Wilkinson Boulevard, I guess, but you didn't have it's not like your dad drove a race car, right, or worked in racing.
Only time my dad you could say he was racing when he was on the highway to get to a church to preach, and he was running late or something like that. But no, my dad was a Baptist preacher with 9 children. I had 6 sisters and 2 brothers, and of course Robert, and we were the twins, and we were the last of the 9. So we got by with a little bit more than my older sisters and brother.
Yeah. So you actually were born first, though. Y'all were twins.
I am 19 minutes older than Robert. I don't know if that counts, but that's what they tell me.
Yeah.
So we had a great time of our growing up years. It's just one of those type families that everybody was so nice but so well educated. My dad made sure that our family was educated with college, seminary. There was 7 preachers in our family. So I don't know what happened to me and Robert, but we sort of got to the place where we enjoyed the cars. We just got into car fever about 12 years old, and we'd go to my grandfather's house up here in actually in Amity Hill, which is just right out of Statesville here. And he had some old Fords in his backyard. And we'd sit in them, we'd go up there and sit in them, pretend we were driving and so forth, and just couldn't get away from it. So we got a little bit different from what my other brothers and sisters did. So they were teachers and preachers and all that kind of stuff.
Now, were any of them by chance a 39 Ford?
We had...
I just asked that question.
36. We had a 36 Ford.
Okay.
I think that's what it was, and it had vacuum shift and all that, but it just sat in the yard. We never got to really drive it, but we pretend it was a lot of fun.
Well, that was a trick question because my buddy, our good friend there, Mr. Bill Blair, says the 39 Ford was the best moonshine running car. So,
well,
I'm just curious.
I don't know about the moonshine, but I know that Robert and myself, we had a 40 Ford Coupe for a while that we rode. We tried to fix it up and race it, but we wound up doing more with our other car. We had 2 cars, a 57 Chevrolet and a 55 Chevrolet, and we built motors for it and went racing at Shuffletown and the old Park Center or fairgrounds back in the day on Tryon Street in Charlotte. Did a lot of that type stuff. So we love working on cars. Yeah.
Shuffletown, did you ever see Tracy's dad over there? You know, Ken Thompson?
Well, I didn't know him until we started racing with Davey Allison in '87, and I know I went to his shop several times in Denver to get some headers or pipes and all made or whatever. So I did know Kenny, very nice guy, very skilled worker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was, did you have a comment on that?
No.
Okay.
Everybody's just saying hello.
Oh, yeah. Hello, everybody. If you're tuning in, we don't know how many people are listening on the radio, of course, but if you're listening on the radio and you want to comment, ask a question, or any of that kind of stuff, you can go on to DHammiam on YouTube. The links are on the Racing Roots with Hamm on Facebook. Normally, we usually are streaming on Facebook and all Twitter and Twitch and all these other ones. But tonight, I just wanted everybody to kind of focus on. I wanted to make sure we didn't miss any comments,
Exactly.
any questions. You know, because when they're spread out all over the place, it's a lot more work. So now we're just on YouTube, and we can answer. And I want to get everybody's comments. And speaking of that, if you'll go on to my Facebook page, Bryson, and read I've got a bunch of comments on there from the posts that I made about this show, and we'll get to those in just a little bit. But so whenever we'll go back to the beginning, your dad was a preacher. And he was here in Statesville too, right?
My dad was born in Statesville in 1898, and he started out as preaching at about 5 churches, country churches, back in his early days. He went to college and went to Wake Forest Seminary and so forth, and he didn't get paid much, but that was okay. My parents were very frugal. And my mom, she was a housekeeper and took care of the cooking and so forth and stuff with all of the kids as we were growing up. So that was back in we were born in, Robert and myself, we were come along to 1943. We were the only ones in the family that was born in a hospital. We were born in a Memorial Hospital in Charlotte.
So was I.
And
yeah, I was too. I don't remember which one. Mercy. I think they named it Mercy after I was born. But anyway, that's another story.
Well, my dad visited a lot of people that was in the hospital back in the day. We grew up on the plaza in Charlotte, which some people may know about the area. It's about three miles from downtown. Yep. But a lot of times he loved to walk, so he would walk to the Memorial Hospital, to the Presbyterian Hospital, and to the Mercy Hospital a lot of days and do all the visiting with all of the patients from our church. It was a little over 2,000 membership, so it was a pretty large church. And so he loved to visit all the church members, and he was very active in his preaching, and he always carried his Bible, but he never carried notes. He wrote poetry, and he preached from his memory or just from the heart. Very good man.
Wow. Yeah, it sounds like it. And I know that the Yates family are synonymous with doing great things for people, and they're unspoken. Like, you don't hear about them. You might hear about them in casual conversation every once in a while, but you know, and I know I've been a witness to that myself, and you can tell y'all come from a great line, for sure.
Well, we were very fortunate that our parents raised us to know the Lord and to live in the right way, even though as teenagers, as most teenagers are, they get a little bit crazy and do little things that maybe you shouldn't do. But our facet growing up was probably was cars, and we would take the motors out and rebuild them or put a different motor in the car and go to the drag strip, Concord or Shuffletown or somewhere like that. And that was what we spent, what money we made from carrying newspapers. We just loved the competition in racing. I remember racing a lot of people, and of course our biggest problem, I guess, we lived on a 4-lane road with a median on the plaza, and we, with loud mufflers and all, the city cops of Charlotte got to know us personally.
Yeah. My dad had heard of y'all's reputation too.
They would sit down on the corner and wait for us to leave the house just to pull behind us and give us a muffler ticket, if nothing else. And then of course we got a few going a little bit too fast, going to school or wherever. But we loved to work on cars. We wound up working at a Gulf service station for several years and doing all of the like brake jobs and tune-ups and tires, changing, putting new tires on the cars and pumping gas and U-Haul, renting U-Haul trailers and just had a good life.
Which station was that?
That was the Thunderbird Gulf, the Eastway and Central in Charlotte, and we worked for James and Jerry Thunderbird, which they went to our church when my dad went to Eastway Baptist Church in his later years. And so we dealt with some very fine people.
Yeah, I'm sure you got to meet and know a lot of people with your dad being in his business and y'all being in that business.
That's true.
And then getting in racing. So,
well, when at church, me and Robert were fraternal twins, so he had brown eyes, I had blue eyes. He was a little heavier than me, a little bit taller. But a lot of people at the church would call me Robert, and they call him Richard. They never could keep our names straight. Right. I never understood that too much until I had one sister who had twin boys, and they were identical. And Danny and Charles Rogers, and to this day, the only thing is they fix their hair different now, so I can tell them apart.
Oh, yes.
But at the time growing up, I never. So I understand why people couldn't keep our names straight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I understand. That's like Bryson over here. I always either call him Bryson or Patrick.
Patrick Swayze.
Patrick Swayze.
I'll have to.
Patrick Swayze, the movie star.
Yeah.
I'll have to explain that. I'll have to put the camera on him in just a little bit. But if you look at him, don't you see a little bit of Patrick Swayze?
No.
No.
Hey, you just said that was a compliment, though.
It is, but I'm saying I'm not close. But I mean,
I got you.
Patrick
You're modest.
Swayze was.
Yes,
he was a movie star. And,
That's right.
And a dancer, was it?
Yeah. Well,
Yes,
he did
he
that in
was.
Dirty Dancing.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, that's right.
And that was filmed up at a lot of it at Lake Lure in North Carolina. And I've been on that lake, me and my wife, several times. And we loved the mountains back in the day, Chimney Rock and so forth. So I knew where that movie was made.
Yeah. How about that? Yeah, we've been there, but they have the little beach out there. It's
That's
nice little
correct.
place.
Yeah, they had a s'mores roast when we were there. It was very nice.
Man, you're making me hungry. I forgot to eat supper. I was so excited.
Oh well.
That's okay, though. It's
We'll go
definitely
get
worth
a
it.
steak dinner when we finish
Okay.
here.
All right, as long as you're buying.
And I'll take care of you.
Just kidding. Hey there. How you doing, sir?
He needs his
Hey,
headphones.
this is Larry McReynolds. How are you?
Oh, man, I'm doing great. Thanks for calling. We're getting Richard some headphones on right now so he can hear.
So you can
Kind of
hear.
forgot about that little part of it, but we're on the radio. So there we go, Mr. Richard.
Oh.
So who we got on the phone with us?
Larry McReynolds.
Hey, Larry.
Hey there.
Hey, man.
How are you?
Well, you need to be here so that I can remember everything that I've ever done and how many races we won and who won them and all that kind of stuff. I
wish I could have been there, Richard. Unfortunately, I had the studio show, and we just finished up about 10 minutes ago. But I actually saw a tweet, I think day before yesterday, or may have been yesterday, where we wore them out at Atlanta Motor Speedway 28 years ago with Ernie Irvan in that 28 car again down there in Atlanta. And like I said, he was a wheel man, and I think we all know that.
Mm-hmm.
You're so right. Ernie was not afraid to drive it in the corner, was he?
He drove it down in the corner till something happened, and then we'd have to go to work on it.
Yeah, well, that happens a good many times probably, but he was quite a driver. Ernie was one of the best relief drivers we had after Davey got killed in that helicopter.
Yeah, there's no question. He was exactly what our race team needed, and you know that as well as anybody. He never had the attitude that he was replacing Davey Allison. Nobody could replace Davey Allison, but he was there for us. to try to win races for himself, for us, and he did that, and he did it well.
You're so right. Ernie was well, I guess Atlanta, when we were going to hopefully win the championship with Davey in '92. I guess it all happened for a reason, but Ernie happened to be the car that Davey, tangled with, I guess you could say. So it was perfect. So, looking back at the time, it was like, we won't. I was going to say swerving Irvan, but I won't say that.
Yeah.
He can strike out.
Yeah.
But he was a perfect fix for our team. You're right.
Well, I think there was a lot of people, and you know this, Richard, that questioned Robert's decision to put Ernie Irvan in that car. But I think it was maybe about race number 3 or 4, maybe 5, when we went to Martinsville, sat on the outside the front row and led over 400 laps. And then about a week or 2 later, went to Charlotte Motor Speedway and led 300 and I think it was 328 of 334 laps out there.
Larry, don't you remember what NASCAR did? They threw a caution because Ernie was so far ahead. I'll never forget that. Thinking that it was going to bunch them back up, but that didn't hurt Ernie at all. He just went on and blistered the 600 there.
Yeah.
Now, him and Davey Allison had the same attitude. If you want me to go slower, you're going to have to do something to the car to make it go slower. I'm not going slower.
I remember being at the Winston. I guess it was the last one in the daytime before they went to the night race at 91. It would have been 91. And then Davey just like blistered the field. I mean, he took off and he was gone, checked out, and we sat there and watched that whole race and him lead pretty much every lap, it seemed. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my first win with the 28 car in Robert Yates Racing, and then we brought that same car back the following week and won the Coca-Cola 600.
We sure did. And then the next year in the clash, in that competition there, we won it, but it was at night in '92. Is that correct?
The very first one hot night, and I tell people all the time, we had an interesting start to 1992. You know, we started off by winning the Daytona 500, but then we kind of got into a pattern or a trend where we were winning one week, wrecking one week, winning one week, wrecking one week. And by gosh, that night we figured out how to do both in one night.
Yes.
Well, we won it, and then we had to take him out of the top of the car. I remember so vividly about that particular thing with Kyle Petty, I guess, coming off of that 4th turn at Charlotte. It was like, we're going to win this thing, because I think Earnhardt had a problem in turn 3 and 4. And Davey passed him, and of course Kyle Petty was there, and anyway, we got the checkered flag, but we were upside down getting it.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget going to the winner's circle, I guess you could call it, and they had Davey's car on a wrecker. You remember that?
Oh, and I remember your brother, Robert Yates. I never saw him very mad, but that may be the maddest I ever saw him.
He was. I'll never forget it. I never seen him that mad, and I grew up with him. We tussled a lot, but he was really mad at them bringing that wrecked car in there in winner's circle, and Davey was in infirmary or at the hospital, and it, like you said, it was a tough night, but a good night, and it turned out all right. But Davey came out with a lot of bloodshot eyes and all. But anyway, that was just a good history lesson there.
I remember sitting on the backstretch, and I just remember seeing a hood go flying up in the air. I mean, it was bad, yeah.
Oh,
and the sparks flying, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the interesting thing about that deal, to Richard's point, you know, we had sat on the pole and we had won I think, the first segment, and then they inverted, and we came back to finish, I think, maybe top 3 or top 4 in the next segment. But we'd gotten a little bit off. The car had gotten a little bit tight. And I remember when they took the white flag, we were running third to Dale and Kyle. And I was a little disappointed because, you know, it's like I knew had I just done a better job of keeping up with the changes that we could have won back-to-back All-Star races. But at the same time, I said, you know, we're going to finish third. We've learned a lot. We'll put some pages in our notebook. And then when Kyle and Dale drove off into turn 3 and Kyle got Dale loose and spun him, and when they came off turn 4 and I saw Kyle Petty and Davey Allison side by side, I thought to myself, I know who's going to win this drag race, and his name's Robert Yates.
You're so right. That was a very exciting race, really. Probably one of the better ones that we ever had in Charlotte. But I'll never forget that night. I think I took the car back to our race shop that night. Got there about 3 o'clock in the morning, and didn't get home probably 5 o'clock in the morning after that race. But it was all, I guess, it was all worth it in the end. I just worried about Davey, but we raced the next week.
Yeah, he was a little bit different. If you remember, that's when we used to have to be back out at Charlotte for the 600. It would open like on Tuesday for practice. And Neil Bonnet, who really didn't have a full-time ride at that time, he practiced. It was a brand-new car, brand-new race car. We were going to run that All-Star car, but Neil practiced it for us, and then Davey qualified it on Wednesday, and we didn't accomplish what we wanted to accomplish because that's when they used to play that Winston Million, and you had to win 3 of the 4 Crown Jewel events. We had already won the Daytona 500. We already won Talladega. We just either had to win the Coke 600 or the 700, and we came up a little short. We ended up finishing 5th in the 600.
Yeah, that particular year. Yeah. Didn't we not win Michigan that year, too?
We did, yeah. We won, I think we won 5 races that year. We won Daytona, North Wilkesboro, Talladega, and Michigan. And then, you know, we had that bad crash at Pocono. We kind of hit a dry spell. But then we went out to Phoenix and won the next race, the next to the last race of the year. That's actually how we took the points lead back, headed to Atlanta.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, that was some good racing in that particular year for us, really. You were there, and I tell you what, Larry, you really did a super job with our team. Every week we were a contender to win, and you couldn't always say that prior to that. But you had the car dialed in, and Davey would drive it. He wasn't scared.
Well, Davey had begged me for about a year. He said, I'm telling you, Larry, if you'll just come over here and help me get this Robert Yates horsepower pointed halfway in the right direction, we will wear them out. And he did not mislead me, because the first time I went back in the engine shop after I started there and saw them dynoing an engine, and I looked down at the horsepower numbers, I went, heck, I've been wasting my career trying to chase this thing.
I bet. Yeah, it was a good time once you came from Kenny Bernstein's team and came over and helped us out, because I believe we had Suitcase Jake there prior to you coming, and he did a good job, great job in fact, but we were still struggling to put it all together. So you really did a great job with our cars.
Well, I tell people all the time, Richard, and I'm very sincere, going to Robert Yates Racing and working for you and Robert, working with Davey and everybody that was there, it was a career-making move for me. And I felt like, I know Robert Yates Racing was good for me because, you know, it helped put me on the NASCAR map because of all the tools and resources, including Davey Allison, that I was given to work with.
Yeah, that's true. You had a lot of skills and you were able to use them. And Robert had, like you said, he was a motor man, and he wouldn't stop or working. Sometimes we would be in the morning of the race, almost getting it on the hauler to the racetrack. And I know you worked all night a lot.
Well, and Robert, and of course, the same way, and really everybody back there in that engine shop, they were so committed, so dedicated, and you're right. Nobody worked harder on getting ready for Daytona and Speed Week than the engine shop at Robert Yates Racing. But I would have to go back there and say, guys, all I know is the garage area in Daytona is going to open in about 12 hours, and it's going to take our hauler 8 to get there. We've got to move this hauler and get gone.
I remember that. We were up for making the race, wasn't we? But it's all what we did. It's just with a good group of great mechanics and great just spotters, and everybody did their job, and that's what made a successful, very successful team.
Well, we were all racers, and we were only committed to one thing and one thing only, and that was winning races. I mean, it's just like we were talking about that All-Star race in '92 in the Coke 600. You know, we knew we had a shot to win the Coke 600 and to win that $1 million, and we debated about whether to save that car, 007 we called it. Do we save it and run it in the All-Star race? And Robert, Davey, and I looked at each other, and it took us about 15 seconds to make the decision. You know what? The next most important race is that All-Star race, and that's what we're going to take our best effort to. And that's why we ended up running that car and put ourselves in position to win the race.
That's right. We never sidelined anything. Well, we always wanted number one car on the racetrack with the best of the best, and I think that's what we had.
No question. That's what everybody was committed to do, including that driver, Davey Allison. Absolutely.
That's so right. Yeah.
Well, Larry Mack, thank you so much for calling in. I wish you well, and hope you come up to Statesville sometime and come on my show, Racing Roots with Hamm.
Well, we'll definitely try to make a point to do that. The one thing I'd like to say with Richard here and listening and saying it to him, I worked for Robert Yates Racing for six plus years, and the whole Yates family, Robert, Carolyn, Richard, Judy, Doug, Amy, I've worked for them, but they were like family, and they treated my wife Linda and I and our kids like family. And even though Robert Yates' name was on that building, Richard Yates was just as big a part of it, and there's no way it would have worked without the things that Richard Yates contributed to that race team.
Well, thank you, but I was sort of in the background, I guess you could say. Most of the time, I'm not one that has to get any recognition, but anyway, I met a lot of great people, and you me and you stay in touch quite a bit, and you and your family are you're part of us. So
well, we always will be, no question, Richard, and always proud to call you one of my friends.
Well, you are definitely my one of special friends. I have a lot of friends, but you are my special friend. You and your family.
Well, and it's likewise. And I'm so thrilled that Nick Ramey got in touch with me and told me about this again. If I hadn't had the studio show tonight, I would have been there, but I'm glad we got to do this.
That's okay. I'll see you in the meantime somewhere, I'm sure.
You got it, buddy.
So tell your family and everybody hey, and I'll be in touch.
You as well. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. Very good. And I know you were definitely a popular person on Fridays in the shop. That's what somebody told me.
Well,
staple time. That's it. If you had that bonus check stapled to the.
I remember when we started out, we didn't have computers, so I hand wrote the paycheck every week for a small group of guys at that time. But we had set up a bonus program early in our racing career that if we finished in the top 3, the first, if we won the race, everybody got $1,000 extra bonus, and if second place was $750 and third place was $500. So we sometimes we wondered if we could continue to do that, but we had to do it. That's what you do. You take care of your people, and I think we tried to do the right thing.
It sounds like it, and that was definitely something I always heard about Yates working over there. You got those bonuses, and those are nice, yes. But you worked for every bit of it, too.
Oh, yeah.
That was the other thing, yes. Hey, so we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back to Racing Roots with Hamm. We got Richard Yates in with us.
Than 20,000 students, Iredell-Statesville schools rank among the 20 largest school districts in North Carolina. Our teachers represent a wealth of knowledge, with the average teacher in our district having 15 years of teaching experience. Iredell-Statesville Schools' innovative approach blends a one-to-one technology initiative with collaborative best practices and a hands-on approach to learning. In addition to traditional school settings, the district provides a wide range of exciting educational opportunities through our choice programs, specifically designed for unique student needs. No matter your age, your background, or your personal goals, there's a place for you in the Iredell-Statesville schools.
Hey guys, just a little reminder. Fantasy Store official IG.
Real Country 550 and 92.9 WAME.
And we're back to Racing Roots with Hamm right here on 550 AM, 92.9 FM. We got Richard Yates in with us this evening, and we have a caller on the line. Hey there.
Hey, Hamm. This is Grant Enfinger. I was listening to y'all talk with Richard there, and I won't take up too much of y'all's time, but man, I just want everybody to know how special Mr. Richard is. And it's Robert Yates' name on that building, but everybody knows that he was a huge part of all the racing with Robert, but just racing in general. And pretty cool man you got in studio right there.
Yeah. Hey, Grant, good to hear from you. Go ahead, Richard.
Hey, Grant. I'm glad you called in. Good to hear your voice again. How you doing?
I'm doing good. It was better when we saw each other on a regular basis, but yeah, it's been a while, but I'm doing great, and it sounds like you are too.
Yeah, I'm hanging in there. I'm getting a little feeble, but I still try to do the right thing. Get up in the mornings and check on my wife and those kind of things. So that keeps me a little bit busy, and I think about all of the days back in the day, especially with you when you with David Reagan, and basically I guess that's how I got to know you, Grant. And I always thought you were a very good race car driver and a very nice person. You really are. So I always like talking to you.
Well, I appreciate that, Mr. Richard, and yeah, y'all built me some good horsepower there in the ARCA days, and I always remember seeing you whenever I go up to the parts store when y'all had the used parts business and stuff like that, and you'd always be shuttling around, just in the background like always, just kind of making stuff happen, but not getting the glory there, but it just a really good person you got in there, Hamm, and I just want everybody to know that.
Yeah, thank you, Grant. He is great. He still looks the same. He looks great. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure does.
Well, I'm not too sure. I feel like I'm ancient, but anyway, I try to. I was not going to go on this podcast to start with because nobody wants to hear me. But I decided, well, there might be some friends that I had left somewhere that might hear this show or see it. And I just decided, well, I'll just stick out and get to talk to people that I haven't talked to in a long time. So I'm glad you called in. That's very great to hear from you.
Yeah, I'd say there's probably a lot of friends that are glad to hear you there. So, and the biggest thing I can say is, like, whether it's Richard or Robert or Doug or everybody part of your family, Nick or those guys, it's all as you want to call them, are just good people. You know, it's just a great culture that y'all have built and where it's still going now with Doug and all that. It's, you know, so many teams and motor shops and just everything in North Carolina. It's, you know, people come and people go, but it just seems like so many people are there to stay, and so many people, it just wasn't really just a job there for them, and it's more of a career and more of a family atmosphere, and that's something I've always respected from all of y'all, and I think that's pretty impressive. It's not a lot of that happens in North Carolina, and really not a lot of that happens in the world these days. So I think that's something y'all ought to be really, really proud of.
Well, I really appreciate your comments there. We were able to do it well because we had good people that wanted. Everybody strived to be as good as we could, and if we didn't win, that was okay. We did the best we could, and Robert always never got down. He said, if we get beat, we just got to work harder and smarter. And that's sort of what we wanted to do, and the good Lord took care of everybody.
Absolutely. Well, it's definitely proved to be very successful, and it's hung on for a long, long time. So y'all have made a lot of history over the years.
Hey, Grant, where are you racing next?
We'll be at Atlanta this weekend.
Oh, yes.
Yep. So kind of anxious to see how all that goes. But look, I won't keep y'all. I just wanted to mention that and talk to my old buddy that I don't see anymore. So y'all have a great evening, and we'll have to catch up together sometime, Mr. Richard.
Okay, we'll do that, and good luck to you this weekend in Atlanta.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Thank you, Grant. Talk to you soon. All right. Very good. Grant Enfinger there. He was on my show a couple weeks ago. It's been about 2 weeks ago, thereabouts.
Okay.
Yeah, he's great. I mean, just very well spoken, and he's got he one of the biggest things I took from him is he focuses, and I think he picked that up from his dad being an attorney and all this stuff. But he just, you know, the focus in him is amazing. He's had some bad luck in the past couple of races or whatever, but he's had some good runs. Just one of those things. Racing.
He is a nice, super friend and race car driver and everything. I always liked Grant.
Yeah. All right, so I have to hold on just a second. Hey there, let me send you the number to call. I'll text it to you. All right. Okay, thanks, buddy. Bye. All right, so yeah, we got another caller coming in here, and I'm going to text him the number right now to call.
Somebody else is calling to talk to you.
So if you want to go ahead and read any comments off of YouTube there.
All right. So we can go ahead and say hey to some of our people that are listening. Let me scroll back up. We've got a good amount of people watching. So we've got Random Epic on. We got Philip Riot, Mike Bear, Heather and Jeremy, the notorious Dickie D, Larry Lackey. Larry Lackey says hello to one of my best friends I've had the privilege of working for. Dargan Watts is tuned in. Cratchety, it is Will Cronkrite.
You know Will Cronkrite?
Not well, but yes, yeah. I knew the name, and I knew him, but I'm trying to place him.
Hey, Ernie, can you hear me?
Hello.
Hey there, Ernie Irvan.
Hey.
Hey there, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good to hear from you.
Yeah, I just I'm excited about tonight with Richard. Richard's one of my favorite people.
Hey, Ernie, I miss seeing you.
Hey.
How you doing?
Oh man, I didn't know that you were on the line already.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I shouldn't have talked so good about you right then.
Oh, you should have really told me how it was, right?
yeah. You know what the best part about Richard was?
What's that?
He signed all the checks.
That's
yes.
right.
Yeah.
A friend in need. He's a friend in
Yeah.
need. I think I just heard that about last week.
Yeah, I was just joking about that, him being the most popular guy on Fridays, and then Nick Ramey said the staples, staple checks.
Yeah, Ernie, you were such a great person, super race car driver. Just everything about you. You went at it 100 and. I know 100% is as far as you can go, but you did a lot more than that. And
that was the problem. I was doing. I was always going beyond 100%.
Well, listen, you wasn't scared of the corner, turning that corner that way. You might not make it, but you made it a lot. So you made a lot of wins, and that was somebody that I always appreciated. That. I liked you and your wife Kim. Y'all and your whole family. Your dad, everybody in the Irvan camp there.
Ernie, you told me one time about the difference between you and Jarrett because he's racing now. You remember that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I kind of remember that.
Yeah. So the difference was. You just went all out and didn't really think about it, right? You just did it. And then Jared kind of thinks about it a little bit more, like, He
definitely thinks about it way more than I do. I was just like, oh, okay, shouldn't have went in that deep, Yeah. And he kind of thinks about it a lot more, I always say that he's a better race car driver than I was because he thinks about what's going to happen. I do what's going to happen, and then it's like, oh, shouldn't have done that much. But I always had really, really good people behind me, and good race cars. And most of the time, I could go beyond the point and still be able to come out of the corner.
That's true. You weren't afraid to use the Robert Yates power, were you?
that was some of the major reason why when you guys called me that one night, it's like no, and we had really good motors at Kodak car.
Yeah.
Run did a great job, but again. Ford and I was just kind of looking, for something maybe a little different.
Well, that you sure gave us a good lift there, because we went through, some tragedy, and of course I know that you had your serious thing in '94, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Oh, I'll tell you. I'm just glad to hear you today. I'll be honest with you. I'm like, because all I always thought about was that accident that you had. It was when I heard that I think you went to practice on a Saturday morning, and I think Robert called me and told me what was going on, and it's just like, man, you can't die. You're too good a man. You got a lot of future in you, and so I know you went through a lot of struggles there, but you came back in '96 and won Michigan.
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
Yeah,
the track where
you did, because I was sitting on top of our little wagon there, I guess, with your wife Kim.
Yeah,
and you beat by Bill Elliott. He was coming. But he didn't catch you. He was closing in on you. But I was so proud of you. It made my day.
Yeah,
you know, Richard, you know, one of the things that I'm so appreciative of is Robert sat, you know, in the hospital when I was in the hospital, and I mean, I don't know how many other people were there, and you know, so Robert said, well, you know, you just need to get better, and we'll see what all goes on. And Robert said, no, I'm going to race again. Robert said, if you are able to race again, I've got a car for you. And, you know, and we went through some tough times by saying, you know, 'cause everybody kind of had to give me a pecking order about, so I go, okay, well, we'll try this and see if that goes good. Then we'll go to this next one. And everybody kind of, I mean, Ford Motor Company was really good and said, hey, you know, let's just go a step at a time and let's just see how we can do it. And we kept accomplishing good things on each step and come all the way to North Wilkesboro and actually did pretty decent.
It was exciting that you were able to even get in a race car. After that, chances of you surviving was just not good. But you came back and won the race, and I think you raced in '97 also. So you were able to get your life back together, and good for you. I really like to see you sometime. I don't know where you're living now. Have you moved to Florida?
Hey, I'm in Florida, yeah.
That's what I was thinking. I try to keep up with you a little bit, you and what's going on. So anytime you're up this way, hopefully I could get to the race shop and you come in sometime. I'd like to see you.
Yeah, I'll try to definitely do that. I mean, maybe Nick's not retired all the way, so maybe he can let you know when I'm coming.
Yeah, he's never going to retire. Nick Ramey's not. You know that.
No, he just moved on to another level of life.
He's still building engines, though. Yeah. Still building them. Well, Ernie, thanks so much for calling. I know I was going to tell you if you ever need any advice on those Pinewood Derby cars. I won't hesitate to tell you exactly what to do. I know. That's kind of the joke whenever I see you. And
yeah, we didn't do very good on that.
Mm-hmm. I promise I wasn't holding back, though. I would have told you anything you needed to know. Yeah. It's easy to say that now. I know it is now, yes. But look how well Jarrett's doing now, so that might have helped.
You got what?
I said, look how well he's doing now in his racing career.
Yeah, he's doing pretty good. It's just, I would like to take it further, but we just don't have the financing to do it any further. But you never know.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Maybe somebody listening right now saying, we're going to finance that kid. So
yeah.
They should.
Yeah.
They should.
They should, yeah.
That would be great.
Do you have any final Richard Yates stories?
I mean, I just always remember Richard because he just had such a smile on his face almost all the time. And just, he was so pleasant and is so pleasant. And, any time that I ever get up there at the race shop or something, Richard's one of the first people you try to find. So Richard was always, he was always the guy that had the paycheck. So,
yeah.
and that was always nice to get one. Now, Richard, can you send me one now?
Let me ask you something. Do you know Doug Yates?
Yeah.
Okay, you better call him. Hey, I'll say one thing. I remember in '96, our first year, we went to Japan to race.
Yep.
And I set up in a corner on the racetrack to call if there was a car stalled or something, and I did the as a spotter for Dale Jarrett and your dad Vic was sitting next to me doing your car. So when y'all come up to the top of that hill, and there's a blind hill there, you know, I'll never forget sitting there and talking to Vic. He was such a great person. I liked him a lot.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. Well, Dad was, you know, Dad was just, you know, a good person. You said it exactly right.
He was.
You know, most everybody I know that really liked him, and just, you know, he just was a pleasant person. You know, and he could get riled up.
No.
Well,
and he did that a lot, but you know that was fine.
He's supposed to do that at times because sometimes we get sidetracked and get sort of, you know, out of whack, and it need to bring us back in line, right? Isn't that what parents do?
Sometimes your son may make you mad.
Yeah.
And
oh.
Yeah, I did that a lot.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, we have a
somebody let the
kennel
dogs
here.
out.
We have I think about 10 dogs here right now.
Oh my goodness. That's good.
I see the pictures on Instagram all the time, and Kim posts a lot of stuff too, and the horses and all that good stuff.
Her animals.
That's it. Yeah.
We got.
Wow.
My dog's sitting there barking the most right now.
Yeah.
And he only weighs 5 pounds.
Oh wow. Well, they're the ones watch out for. Yes. They can bite you.
Oh yeah.
The big ones won't hurt you.
Yeah. Stewie's mine, and everybody said, man, you got a poodle? I said, yeah. They said, man, you probably had to give up your man card to get a poodle. And I said, well, I did, but he's a chick magnet.
Yes.
All the girls, man, when you go to Lowe's or something like that, every one of them, oh, that's the cutest dog.
That's a good point. That's a great point.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right.
Yeah, he's my buddy.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad to hear from you, and I hope you're doing well, and just stay in touch.
Well, we'll try to stay more in touch than normal.
Yeah, right. You were my favorite guys.
Okay, well, that's a good thing to say right now.
I could have said you're my favorite guy, and you are, but I have other ones too that you know what I mean. You have.
I know.
You're special. You are special though. So.
Well, I appreciate that, Richard.
Yeah, and I'll never forget you.
Yep. Well, I appreciate that. You know, you and Robert were really good to me, and you know, made my career. You know, continued the success I had, and you know, just wish it would have lasted longer.
Well, we always wish that, but now we can look back at the history and talk about it and remember it. So that's a good thing.
Yep, that's a good thing.
That's right.
Yep.
Well, thanks, Ernie. I'm going to send you the link to the show if you want to continue watching and you want to comment or whatever. But thanks so much for calling in. And you take care. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
See you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right, there you go, Ernie Irvan. He's a legend. You know, Ernie was my favorite driver back in the day. I had the Kodak shirt. I actually ran across a picture today. But whenever around 96 and 97 actually is when he started. It's like we were in the same garage stall beside each other, like every week in and week out. You know, you kind of went by your points and whatever.
That's why they lined us up in the garage.
So for a couple of years there, I would just always go over there and talk to him every time I saw him. And then we were basically neighbors. Like his house was up the hill, through the woods, over the river and through the woods, you know. Anyway, from my house. So,
okay. Was that in Midland?
No, that was actually up here in Mooresville.
When it was in Mooresville?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or down here.
Oh, I know where he was at. The big house over there.
Yeah, the big house. Yeah. Yep. So, all right. I think what we should do probably is maybe take another break. But hey, who's been your favorite call so far? I'm just kidding. You don't have to say that. You don't have to answer that question.
All above.
Yeah.
Now I don't know what's coming up, but right now, all above.
You just never know what's next. It's a surprise. It's one big surprise, right? All right. Well, we'll come back and we'll get to some of the questions that we have. I'm sure there are a few on here, and then we'll be right back to Racing Roots with Hamm and Richard Yates.
Buying or selling real estate in today's environment can be a very challenging
Real Country 550 and 92.9 WAME and W225BD Statesville.
All right, there's that station ID. That means it's the top of the hour. And so thank y'all so much for tuning in to Racing Roots with Hamm. We got Richard Yates in with us, who is the older brother to Robert Yates by 19 minutes and the uncle to Doug Yates, who is I consider him to be one of my best friends all time. Like, just an all around person, guy, boss. I don't see him as being my boss, especially now that I don't work there anymore. But I just still see him as a good friend, a lifelong friend. Just he's been that kind of person with me. Nick Ramey.
And he's a good guy too.
Some of the guys I worked with at Roush Yates, and to Ernie's point, yes, absolutely, great guy. Mm-hmm. And to Ernie's point about that, working. The Yates family surrounds themselves with good people. I always said, if you weren't a good worker, a good person, all around, then you wouldn't be working there. You weren't going to last there, and they kind of always weeded out the people that typically they didn't hire the people that weren't going to last, but they were good at judging that character. But the people, what I'm saying, they had a great group of guys.
When you run a business,
Mm-hmm.
you hire people and you find out their skills and whether they want to be there or not.
Yeah.
If they're watching the clock a lot and talking on the phone a lot, that eventually they won't make the grade,
right.
Because they have too many other things on their mind. So they took care of themselves because eventually they move on.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Very true. And they were always a good judge of character on that, but just always great to work for. So we were talking about back in '87. Okay, is that when you actually started in racing NASCAR at Ranier?
Yes.
Okay.
I quit a job of 22 years at Baker Equipment Engineering out of Charlotte to go. Robert and Carolyn approached me in '86, actually, that he was wanting to maybe go racing by the place from Harry Ranier. And that was a hard decision for me because I thought I would probably retire from Baker. Very good company. I loved it. Mm-hmm. But then I said, well, I'm going to give it a try. With my brother, my twin brother, we were so close that I wanted to make it work.
Right. Yeah.
And so I put in a notice to quit January 1st when we started the team, and they wouldn't even let me go till April 15th. I had to do the inventory again that year.
Oh, okay.
But I still went to the races, but I was still working at Baker for about 3.5 months.
So then Davey won at Talladega, his first win, right? In the Cup Series.
We won at Dover and Talladega.
Mm-hmm.
I think Talladega may have been before Dover. I
can't
remember.
I believe it was his first win.
But that was awesome. First win, rookie. And Bobby, his dad, had got in the fence there at Talladega. Mm-hmm. So the time they repaired the fence back and so forth, it started getting dark. So they actually cut the race 10 laps because it's too dark to see.
Yeah.
And they didn't have lights at that time. So they did cut 10 laps short, but we still won it.
Yeah. I've seen a picture with you in the background, and Davey's right in front and center, and then there you were. A younger you, but I recognized you still. Because I knew you back in the day. I knew you in '96 when I took that picture in Japan, the one I gave you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Richard's walking in the garage area in Japan. And, well, I guess the garage area was kind of like, whatever. This is a little bit confusing. But that was you walking and then, I guess, talking on the headset or whatever right before the race started. I'm pretty sure.
And where was that?
At Japan in 1996.
Yeah.
That was at not Twin Ring, but at Suzuka Circuit.
It was the racetrack for the which cars? The series.
It was the Cup Series in NASCAR.
I know, but the racetrack there at Suzuka was a.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was Formula One.
It was something like that.
Yeah,
it was the higher
track. And
yes.
So we went there. supposedly for 3 years, but the next 2 years, I think we went to another racetrack, and I didn't go to that, but I went to the first year.
Yeah. Twin Ring was the second. The second and third, we went to Twin Ring. Motegi. Yeah.
Right.
But it was a circle track.
Yes.
And you didn't go to those.
Yes, it was a circle track instead of a road course.
You probably did like I did after we got back and said, I'm not going to do that again. That's what I did.
Well,
and
I would have went back, but really and truly,
yeah.
The trip made me open my eyes to the other part of the world.
Yeah.
About their culture, their food, their language. It was all so different that when I got back to America, I could kiss the ground.
Yes.
It was
with you
really,
yeah.
America is the place to live.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're so fortunate to be here.
Yeah. The food, for one.
Well,
I say that because the Japanese food, my stomach hurt the whole time, and I've never had any kind of stomach problem.
The
second time I took some Rolaids with me. That's like, gosh.
We had an interpreter from Texaco. They provided an interpreter to go with us.
Yeah.
And that was Larry and his wife Linda and Robert and Carolyn and me. And we went, they took us to several places, but we went to a real nice restaurant in Japan. But you still sit on the floor. Very nice, but you sit on the floor. And we got Kobe beef, which is supposed to be a delicacy. And you cooked it in boiling water at your table, sitting on the floor, and you ate seaweed.
And there might be an eyeball or two floating around in there.
Well, could have been. I don't know, but I remember that even the McDonald's there was pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. We went to a McDonald's. We had an Italian place.
Yeah, we went bowling and went to a golf range and hit golf balls.
Okay.
And the one big thing that I remember was Norman Koshimishu. He was our gas guy for the car. He was Japanese name and looked Japanese.
Yeah.
But he was born in California. Anyway, he was a great person.
Yeah.
But we went out to eat one night at a restaurant, and in the cars that drive on the wrong side of the road, taxis, they took us to this restaurant. And when we left, Norman got in a different car from the rest of us. So we got back to the compound where we were staying there in Suzuka. And Norman didn't show up for at least an hour and a half, because he did not know any Japanese.
He didn't have the interpreter.
He didn't have an interpreter, and he kept telling the guy, well, I don't know. So they went to about every place in Suzuka trying to find where he was staying.
Oh.
So he was lost for a while. That was a concern.
Yeah. I was scared to death of getting lost, so I didn't veer from the...
Yeah, I went with the crowd.
Yeah, same here.
I stayed with the crowd, and then we were also able to go to a place. Our interpreter and Larry and Linda and Robert and Carolyn, we went to a place where they made the Japanese ladies would sit on the floor all day long and make little doilies and lacy stuff, and their work was so perfect, and it's just like. This is a sight to see, that people have got that much patience and all, and the work that they could do. I was impressed.
Yeah. I noticed that too. We went to a Suzuki factory or something. It might have been Honda, but.
Well, Honda was there, yes.
Yeah, the Honda factory. And then on the bus in different places, there was like 2 people working per station kind of thing. They had it figured out. But I had a question, or actually a comment from Mr. Bobby Benton.
Bobby who?
Yeah.
Is this Bobby who?
The Bobby Benton, the one and only.
That's right.
He said, ask Richard about playing slot machines in Vegas. We had a blast.
Are you on, Bobby?
He is. He's not on. He's not called in. He could call in.
He's not on.
But he sent me a text.
Oh, he sent you a text?
Yeah.
Well, Bobby was my guy to go to Vegas with. And we went there a lot. When we'd race out there, and I'd a lot of times I stayed with Bobby and his son Robbie, and we had a great time with the slot machines. I would put in a penny, play the penny machine, and he'd be playing the max $3 or $10 machine, and he corrupted me eventually because I wasn't doing very good. So I started going to the $3 machine, and actually you lose some, but we wound up winning more than you lost, and it was a good thing. So we played a lot in the Luxor and the whole strip. There wasn't a place on the Vegas Strip that I don't think we at least stuck a quarter in a machine. But Bobby he still is my very good friend.
Yeah.
Him and his son and his wife. So.
Yeah, they're great. I tried to get him to come up on the show, but he didn't want to. So.
Yeah, I need to call him because
Yes.
I think he quit Mac.
He did.
Tool.
Yeah.
He retired.
Yes.
Yep, semi-retired, the Mac Tool man, and yeah, but he traveled. Gosh, he went with y'all back in the Davey Allison days, and he was around. I think it was maybe 1976 when Bobby Allison. All right, so Jim, all right, he won like the picker competition or whatever, and I saw a picture of it, and it had Bobby in the background, and it was with Bobby's brother-in-law,
Yes.
Johnson. I done got mind blank his first name. I worked with him over at the old Stavola Brothers building, but he was married to Aggie.
Okay.
Yeah, to Allison, Bobby Allison's. Anyway, so.
He helped us a lot. He brought in. Most people bought their Mac tools from Bobby, and toolboxes and so forth. And of course, Bobby gave us discounts on a lot of our tools we used in the shop and all. He was just that kind of guy. He took care of us. And when I went with Bobby and his son to Vegas, especially, he always treated me like I was a king or something. I don't know why, but I was just had a lot of fun with him because he was that person.
Yeah, that's because you're so nice. One reason,
Yes.
and you had to pay checks. You always had to pay checks, right?
Well,
you might have slipped an extra little. Here's an extra bonus.
Staples, I think is what
The
Nick
Staples.
said.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, we like the Staples. I liked them too.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure you did. It was Donnie Johnson I was trying to think of. For some reason, just had that whole mind blank moment.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I will say the first in '96 we won the race at Speedway Indy, I believe it was. And when I flew in on that morning before the race, I walked down to our garage and they had Doug and all of our engine guys. They had all the engines completely apart, and it was only a couple hours before the race. And I just made a comment. I said, if we win this race, I didn't know how good we were. I said, if we win this race, we're going to double the bonus.
Oh.
And
yes.
Well,
was that 96?
It's 96.
Okay. Yep.
Yes.
I remember that.
So what happened? We won the race, and Ernie finished second. So we had they got double bonus on first and second.
Yeah.
And we were on the victory stand, and it was an elevator that put the car on, and everybody on the team was standing on it, and they were all going to Robert saying, "Did your brother mean what he said? We was gonna double the bonus."
So was that 2,000 and 1,500 after the doubling?
Yeah.
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 That's
it was
funny.
3,500, whatever it was. I don't know, but
yes.
Anyway, I from then on I've kept my mouth shut. But it was a good thing, and Robert told him. Anybody asked him that, he said, "Whatever my brother said, That's what we'll do. So Robert backed me up on it.
That's good.
And he was happy with it because we won first and second was pretty good.
Yeah.
In fact, it was excellent.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
I'll never forget that particular race.
Yeah. I won't either, because that was whenever I spent most of my time in the gift shop, but that's another story. That's when Kyle hit the wall really hard. I think he was running second maybe. And, so that was the end of my day, end of our day.
Okay.
But I remember waiting on the bus, and then all the guys were coming on from the winning team. And I was good friends with John Bryan back then.
Yes.
You know, and a lot of the other guys, so traveled with all of them.
Yeah, that was fun back in the day to get on an airplane, and you could just be back home in, a couple hour or whatever.
Yeah.
I remember going to Daytona a lot, and after the race, I'd get on a plane and I'd be home for supper.
Yeah.
And instead of driving 9-10 hours or whatever it was from Daytona to Charlotte. So airplanes made our life much better.
Yeah, sure.
It's fun.
So you remember in '87 whenever everybody piled on top of the car after the win?
I sure do. They did. They piled on top of the car, and I didn't get on the car. I ran behind the car down there to the start-finish line, I think is where we went. But the biggest thing we had is when I got the check from NASCAR, because those guys got on the car, they deducted $2,000 from the pay.
Oh, okay.
But that was worth it.
Yeah.
We won the race.
Yeah. And
it was worth it. Yeah.
And that picture of that and that win, and the first win for Davey, and then everybody climbing on the car, and I think they reproduced that somewhere, but not reproduced the picture, but that another team did the same thing. But you can't do that. I mean, and we learned that then too. You mess up the whole templates and all that stuff. But
it make the car would never pass.
It was worth every bit of it.
But it was worth it.
Yeah. I just remember I worked for the Chevrolets back then. Well, not in '87. Okay. 95 on for 6 years. And we always, the Yates, you always hear about the Yates horsepower, but then NASCAR would go and they would change the spoiler angles or the spoiler length and whatever, to try to slow the Fords down.
Yeah, they made the rear spoiler higher, taller.
Yeah.
And thinking that was going to slow us down, but I think we still could be competitive. Yes, very competitive back in the day, especially.
Yeah, that just meant it needed to go to work and get a little bit more power. And that's what it was good at. Yeah. So you were at that was Harry Ranier's team in '87. I guess '89 maybe is when Robert bought it. Thereabouts.
In October the 1st of '88.
Okay.
We purchased the team from Harry Ranier and J.T. Lundy, and it was called, I think the company was called Win Incorporated. But Harry had, I guess he'd had some financial problems or something. Anyway, Waddell Wilson had left to go to another team, and that was the Harley's team in '86 with Kel Yarborough driving it. So Waddell left a little earlier, so I think we ran the car several races at the end of '86, and then when we started '87, we had Davey in the Texaco car. But
was Kel's shop there? I mean, I know where his car was. Eventually, his shop was down there off of Dixie Road, off of Wallace Neal. Dixie River Road. You remember that road there?
Well, that Dixie, that was out at Holman-Moody.
Right. It was.
Yeah, Dixie Road. But we were on in downtown almost.
Well, eventually
on the west side.
Eventually, you're over off of Dwell, right? I mean, that was the.
Well, that was Dwell. That's where.
Yeah.
That's where we were at. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I was going back further.
Further than that, and I don't think I was around too much except in DiGard or somewhere.
Right, yeah. I was just a kid riding my bicycle at that point. So I just remember that.
Okay.
And when I mentioned it to Robert, he'd say, "Did you hear the engines running?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course I did." That was his excitement. He's like, "Yes." Very good.
Oh, yeah, DiGard was over there.
Yeah.
Right near Holman-Moody.
Yeah. The other thing that he and I had in common was my dad was from Wilson County. My grandfather lived out there after he come back from World War II. But that's where Robert went to school to get into technical school. So tell us that story about what kind of led up to that.
Well, growing up, when we were going to high school, we carried newspapers, and also we were up half the night and then trying to go to school. And so Robert was struggling with school a little bit in high school. So in the 12th grade, my sister and her husband went to Wake Forest, North Carolina, to the college, to it was a seminary then, because they were going to be missionaries. So Robert went down to Wilson was
it like Wilson Tech or something?
Well, Robert had already been to Mars Hill College 1 year,
okay.
And then he went to Wilson Tech. Okay. But before he did that, 12th grade, he graduated from Wake Forest High School, not college.
Mm-hmm.
And he passed in making A's, straight A's and all. He was smart, but he struggled in other schools because we were out all night carrying papers and didn't get enough rest.
Yeah.
And so, but then Robert, after Mars Hill College, he got a chance to go to Wilson Tech in Wilson, North Carolina. And he had 2 years down there, and he stayed with the Henry Mercer's house there, Black Creek, I think it was, down there. And so he graduated from Wilson Tech, which was a technical school where he learned a whole lot about engines and this type of motors.
Mm-hmm.
So that was his education.
All right, very good. Hey there, who we have on the line with us?
This is Dale Jarrett. How are you tonight?
Hey, Dale Jarrett. I'm doing great. Good to see you there in Martinsville. You let Kyle hang out with us for a little bit, and you came and swooped him away in the golf cart. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, so we got Richard Yates in with us this evening. You got any good Richard Yates stories?
I don't know that they're stories, but I can tell you that I don't know that I've met and been associated with and had the pleasure of being around a finer person my entire life, and especially in my professional career. He and Robert Yates, his brother, were so good to me and my family, and just an incredible person. And I think that's what helped make Robert Yates Racing so successful over the years. And I'm just proud that I was able to be there, be a part of it, bring them their first championship, and just be treated like family on top of being given a very fast race car to drive.
Wow. I don't know what to say to all that. You were such a polished race car driver. You were well educated. So you impressed me so much. And for you to be driving our 88 car, what else could be any better? I loved you, your family, your dad and your mom, and your brother. I don't know, just your whole family was just good racers, very successful, but very, courteous, nice racers. And I really miss those kind of days.
Yeah, Richard, it was tremendous. And I think the thing that struck me was with your family organization that, you had Robert who was on this side that, he just wanted to work on cars and make them figure out how to go fast. But he had to have someone that he could trust and be there to make sure the business was where it needed to be. So that's what made the relationship and seeing all of that so special, that bond that y'all had in being family and making all of that work through the years. And it was just, to me, a tremendous honor to be a part of that. And, the entire organization was like that. And it was a lot, Richard, because of the way that you ran things and treated people. And that's why we had so many people that wanted to come work there, wanted to be a part of that organization, myself included. And, again, that's what helped make it so successful is having not just all the knowledge, but the companionship and the friendships that y'all gave to each and every one of us there.
Well, I appreciate that. We strive to do the right thing. We grew up in a family that was dedicated to the Lord, and I think it rubbed off on me and Robert, even though we went through some teenage years that I guess we got okay, we got sidetracked. I'll just be honest with you, a little bit, but we were still knew our roots. And when you came to race for us in '95, when I believe Ernie was hurt, and you did such a great job. And it's like I think in '96 you were going to go do something else, I guess. And I was so glad that we went to two teams so we could keep you, the 28 and the 88 and so forth. And what an asset to our race team. You were great. I mean, just out of the box, we won big races that year, and and then when we won the championship in '99, that just was like, you know, another level. And I didn't think I would even, back in the day, I know Robert was a good engine builder and all, and I left a job that I liked a lot of 22 years, but I had a chance to do that, and so I met so many great people in racing, and you will never see it from the outside. You would think back in the day that racers were not, I don't know what you would say, but a lot of people didn't have a thought of them being maybe even educated, but Lord have mercy, your family was on top. I mean, Ned was, I had a lot of conversations with Ned, I'm sorry. But he was such a nice, professional driver, as well as on his radio or on the TV. He was great. And of course you were right there too, and you still are. I still see you. And you hanging in there great.
Well, it's much appreciated, and you know that it brought chills. You just talking about those, you know, starting that second team, and we go win the Clash in the 500, all, you know, that first February with that 88 car, and you know, to bring, you know, Ford along there with the sponsorship that we had, and y'all were so great to Ford Motor Company through the years, and everything that you've done, and then to bring UPS into the sport and have them around for so long. And you know, again, your entire family with you and Robert and Carolyn and Doug and everything that Doug's been able to, that he did at that time, and then has gone on to be the premier engine builder, just like his dad was too. So just an incredible experience for all of us. And I just wanted to call tonight and say thank you. I appreciate it. The opportunities that you and your family gave to me were just amazing. And then, again, so many other people that weren't necessarily, they didn't have the last name Yates, but they were treated as family, and I appreciate that. And I know that Nick Ramey is someone, to me, he's kind of the first one that finally let me go in the engine shop after I'd been there for a while. But I couldn't go back where the heads were really built and where the intake manifolds were. And I think Nick was the first one that finally talked Doug and Robert into letting me just go look, because they realized that Nick, I think, realized I wasn't smart enough to go tell anybody anything that I saw anyway. So that was great to be able to do it. But I just wanted to call and say I appreciate it. I appreciate you, and just thank you and your family so much for everything.
Well, same here with your family and your friends. I got to meet a lot of nice, great people in my tenure there with Robert, and I think that we wanted to do the right thing. That's true. We were brought up like that, so
well, you did.
So I'm just so glad for you to be part of our family and life.
Well, thank you very
Yes,
much,
sir.
and continue good health too, Richard. It's nice to talk to you.
Well, same here with you.
Okay.
Thank you, Dale.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Dale. Talk to you later. Bye. Yep. Yep. Dale Jarrett there. So how do you, it's, all these people that love you, Richard, and, speaking of that, we had some comments on my post on Facebook, and Bryson was going to read some of those off. If you got them there, Bryson.
Yeah, I got them over here. There's like 54 of them, so we'll try to get to them, get to as many as we can. But Michael McSwain says Richard Yates is the, quote, hero behind the heroes.
Yeah.
That necessary person every team needs.
And speaking, Michael McSwain sent me a message, and, man, he really wanted to be here to see you.
Hey, what's wrong with him?
Oh, he's good.
Oh, he's okay.
He's just a little bit further away, down the road.
He was
fat back.
I know Fatback.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great guy.
Yeah.
Kemp Lamb says he is a great man and definitely kept things in order at Roush Yates Racing.
Wow.
Let's see what else we got here. Johnny Brawley says, oh, wait, no, that's the wrong one there. Let me keep it going. There's several here. Dirk Bumgarner says Richard is an awesome guy.
Wow.
Yeah, Dirk Bumgarner.
Yeah.
We need to get him in here sometime. That'd be good. That'd be great.
Be good.
Yeah. He was a good engine builder, and then he ended up being a Mac toolman. I believe it was Mac. Yeah. All right.
Can I take that off?
Yeah, you can. Yeah. Okay. I think so. If it lights up again, I'll let you know. That means it's lighting up to tell me there's a phone call or something.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, we can. Is that about it? I don't know.
Yeah, we've got a few more. Peter Roeder says lots of great memories I had with my time at Roush Yates Racing, and
yep, Pete Roeder.
Elizabeth Benton says I sure do love that sweet man.
Who said that?
Elizabeth Benton.
Yeah, Bobby's daughter.
Bobby's
yeah.
daughter.
Yeah, we didn't mention her earlier, but yeah.
Yeah, she was a very nice lady.
Yeah, she is.
Girl, really.
She's grown up now, but she's always. I know what you're saying exactly. Yeah. Yes.
Well, all the Bentons.
Yeah.
Or buddies.
Yeah, it's funny though. It's like Robbie. Whenever I saw him, I've known him since he was traveling with us, and he was always kind of really young. Mm-hmm. And then seeing him now, he's just he's grown up. So, but you always think back to them whenever they were young. I guess is what I do. Yeah.
Well, I can tell you, when we'd go to Vegas, I had so much fun with Robbie and Bobby and David Forgash.
Okay.
You remember him?
No, if I saw him, I might.
They were a lot of fun, a little dangerous, but we had a lot of fun in those rental cars.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
In fact, I thought we ain't gonna get through this one.
Sure.
We're going through the deck, parking decks, and all, spinning the tires, and then we go out in the desert and get off road, and it got pretty wild.
Yeah,
but
look for tarantulas.
It was all good.
Go look for some tarantulas or rattlesnakes.
Oh yeah.
I know. I when I worked at dealership, I remember some of them coming in with cracked oil pans and things. And they were,
My brother was included in that.
Oh yeah.
He's not going off coming back from Pocono because they took a shortcut through a field.
Oh.
And I guess he hit a stump or something, and so they hooked up a rope to the car and towed it and pulled it into the rental place.
Oh my gosh. They just left it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny. Tracy, do you have any comments on the YouTubes?
Oh my goodness, there's a lot of comments on here. I think a lot of us going back and forth, and forth.
Tracy's like, I quit.
Well, I couldn't keep up with it.
Yeah.
Oh. And when you're wearing the headset, it hurts your ears with the glasses.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So, yeah, I haven't. Just Larry Lackey says hello to one of the best friends I've had the privilege for working for. Dargan Watts says, you can start the show now. I'm here.
Oh, yeah, Dargan. Dargan's a great historian down in Florida.
I don't know him.
I'll have to show you some of the pictures he has.
Yeah, Scott Trevelson says hello from Daytona.
Scott.
Travis and Beer Man, Coors Light guy.
He was the Coors Light beer man.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So Random Epic says his dad was a preacher also. So was his brother. His granddad was a song leader. And Larry Lackey has a lot to say. He says Richard took care of finances and spending, And one day in the mid-'90s, I needed a new metal lathe. So Robert told me to order one. He then told me to go ahead and order 2. It came about $46,000, so I was happy. But a couple days later, Richard came into my room raising sand, saying, "Larry, what is going on? We don't have the money for that in the budget." I told him that Robert told me. So Robert came in and told me he'd keep the money, or get the money and keep them coming. Richard was always on top of the finances.
There you go. Well, you know, you had to have money to go racing, and if you
That's
spent,
right.
you
It's
know,
not
too
cheap.
much.
It's
Larry
definitely not
Lackey
cheap.
is a great guy too.
Yeah.
He's one of those legendary guys. Him and Nick.
Well, Larry,
I'm not gonna tell us.
just like Nick.
Yes.
They'd be there with Doug or whatever.
Yeah.
Up to midnight or whatever, or all night or whatever it took.
Yeah.
Especially if we're going to Daytona, that was a huge deal.
And go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish. I mean, I'm not gonna let you, but you keep talking. But I was just gonna ask if Nick wanted to come over and
Well, there
put
is a
in
question for Nick on here, actually.
Yeah, that'd be great if he would come over and say something.
He can come take
I know
my
he
seat.
said, yeah. Or you can he can come. It's fine. Right over here. Right over here. Actually, right there would be perfect. Yeah. All right. So we got Nick Ramey in with us.
We'll be dangerous.
Yeah.
I just skipped this question. Yeah, y'all go ahead and talk. I'm
Well,
going to find the question again.
Yeah, go ahead. And Bryson, you said you had 2 more.
Yeah, I had 2 more that I wanted to use to close out. Kendall Griffin says, Mr. Richard told some of the best stories of the racing team. Really miss seeing him come by my desk and say hello. He is one of the greatest. And then I'll finish with Mike Sauer says, not a nicer person in NASCAR. Always enjoyed talking with him when I worked at Roush Yates. But all of the Yates family are the same. They have class. So there you go.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thanks to all y'all that commented. And Tracy's got a couple more here.
So, yeah, Larry Lackey says, ask Nick Ramey to explain the difference between those 2 drivers. I'm assuming he's talking about
Dale
the
Jarrett and Ernie Irvan?
Ernie. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about valve? Tell us about valve springs or between the 2. I don't know. I mean, I do, but
stand up.
Anyway.
Probably a good one to explain there would be that if you took the 2 engines, the one that Dale Jarrett had and the one that Ernie had,
yeah.
all right, and took them apart and analyzed all the parts,
Yeah.
that you would see Ernie's throttle time in the piston, because the piston would just be burned up black.
Oh yeah.
And I asked Ernie about it one day, and Ernie says, "That's because I'm in the gas all the time. I don't lift."
Yeah.
You know.
No, I know. That's what I was talking to him about.
And Dale Jarrett was more methodical.
Yeah.
But Dale wasn't going to go in the corner wide open. He was going to lift.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Ernie, that's why I said Ernie would take his chance of either crashing or making it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but it happened both ways. But Ernie was a whale of a driver.
Yeah. I remember this one thing about Ernie at Charlotte that year, that Ernie just smoked him. And Ernie come on the radio and he said, he told me, he says, "There's this guy down here in turn 4 giving me the number 1 sign every time I come by."
Oh yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, how
do
can
you
you
see
see that?
Yeah.
You're running 200 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked Ernie about it, and he says, to me, everything seems like it's in slow motion.
Huh.
Yeah, that's mind blowing.
Wow, it is.
Well, see, he wasn't afraid of speed.
No.
That sometimes got him a little bit of trouble, but that's what made Ernie Irvan.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't lift.
Yeah. I think NASCAR came down there 4 times to tell us to slow down. Wasn't it about 4 times?
At Daytona?
At Charlotte.
Because what happened, they finally threw a caution flag because they said there was something on the track. Well, there wasn't, because Ernie was about to pass the whole field.
Yeah. He was about to lap second
And
place
you know what?
Don't stink up our show. That's what they would say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And right after the caution, he went right back to the front and he was gone again.
There you go.
I mean, he showed off.
Yeah. He used to pick on me all the time because he knew I'd be pacing.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember him, he come on the radio and he says, he was leading, he says, I think I got a miss. The engine's missing. And then Larry said, well, switch boxes. And then he come back on there a little bit later, and he said, is Nick still standing up? Because I was behind the tires probably throwing up.
That's funny. That's messed up, but it's funny. You know, it's like you don't joke about that.
Yeah.
Hey, show us your ring right quick. Show it to this camera right here.
This camera right here.
Yeah. Show it. And so this is what I would have got.
On his hand first.
If I would have stuck around a couple more
That
years.
thing will knock your eyeballs out for sure.
Yeah. How nice is that?
Yeah.
That's
How
right.
many you got, Mr. Richard?
I'm supposed to have 17. I've got 15 in my case, and I may be getting one for.
I think you are.
This year. Well, I
The
wouldn't be
case-
surprised. I know Doug, and if I don't, that's fine. I don't know. Yeah,
That case is pretty full, isn't it?
I got them in. I had them out in display like in my bonus room, but when I moved to the beach, some people told me, said, you better lock those things up so they're in my safe at the beach now. They're not sitting out. But I always have them sitting out. I didn't think nothing about it. Then I got to think, well, you know.
Yeah, they're pretty valuable.
To me.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. But
it's more sentimental.
Just like a ring to anybody else. But no, they're just like the championship ring. Yeah.
Yeah. Show them your
I saw-
championship ring. That was from 1999.
Yep. Yeah, you leave them in. You have a
Where
display,
do you
but
put it?
Right here.
only bring them out whenever you have people that you trust come over.
1999.
Am I good, David?
Dale Jarrett driving a car.
Yeah, that's it. That's for
wear that ring all
1999
the time.
championship.
I do. I lost it for
Very
2
cool.
years in my
That would be
daughter
the
found
ring
it
on
in
the
trunk
top.
of my
Come
Ford
down a little
Fusion,
bit.
Is that
where
right?
I must
There
have
you
been
go.
vacuuming into something, and it came off.
Yeah.
And when she found it, that made my day.
Well, it's
Actually,
got
it made my whole
Good thing
life.
you didn't
I
sell
bet
that
so.
car.
Yeah.
Well, I
Somebody
did
been
sell
happy.
it, but that's why she was cleaning it out, because we were going to sell it. That's why I hadn't had it back
Can you
but
imagine?
6 months.
Gosh.
I lost it, like I said, for 2 years. I
Oh,
thought
man.
I lost it. It fell off my fingers just somewhere else.
Wow.
And when she told me, here's your ring, and I was like, I like to faint it. I mean,
Oh yeah.
because
Sure.
this is the ring. This is the ring. I got rings, and they all, Daytona, I don't know how many Daytona rings. We
got
won
a lot.
Daytona about 8 now.
10, I think.
Since this year.
10 total, I think.
Well, I don't know. It's way up there. I don't remember. When Trevor Bain was racing the other day, brought back a lot of memories.
Yeah.
Well, 2011, I think we won Daytona with Trevor. So
Yep. And now he got the pole for something. I don't remember.
he was on the pole in
Xfinity
the
series.
Xfinity at Ontario.
Yeah.
I think it was. Yeah.
Yep. It's good to see him coming back. He's doing good. All right. So now, did we get those, Bryson? We got them all done, right?
Yeah, we got them.
Okay, good. And so now,
Well, let Nick tell you what I said when I saw his ring.
yes. What did she say, Nick? When she saw
What did you say?
I said David doesn't have one that big.
Oh no, I was actually going to. Yeah.
I said, y'all got to be careful. You got to keep us clean.
I know exactly. And I was also going to ask you.
Because it looks like humongous.
I was also going to ask you, how many rings do you have now, Nick?
20.
20 rings.
20. Wow.
How about that?
You've got David beat by almost double.
All because of Richard.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Robert Yates Racing. Richard, Doug,
We
Robert.
just-
Man, pretty
we
awesome.
just- Doug is my buddy.
He's awesome.
Hey,
Yeah.
he's so good to me. We worked together at DiGard every Saturday. I went because I was working at Baker. I'd pick Doug up. He couldn't even drive. He was young. And we go to DiGard and we clean that place like spotless. I go home Saturday night. I couldn't hardly walk. My back would, because we mopped and we swept and we didn't clean out. We pulled everything out, the toolbox, everything from the wall. We cleaned the walls and, sheesh,
So you know where Doug got it from.
Robert. I know, because I used to go to Robert's house where he lived, and y'all seen his yard. It was spotless.
Yeah. Doug ain't changed on that, has he?
No, and keep it up, Doug. He's
Pretty incredible.
Yeah, we had a good run, me and Doug, and when he turned 16, Robert had ordered him a Camaro, one of the IROC Camaros, and we were doing a motor for Grant, the guy from Chattanooga. Anyway, he'll come to me in a minute. But anyway, Robert was doing his motors, and he drove NASCAR. Well, he drove maybe not NASCAR, maybe the division below us.
There was a Grant
Anyway.
Adcock?
I don't know. That's who I was thinking. There's Enfinger and there was Adcock. That's all I could think of.
But Grant, what'd you call it?
Adcock?
I think that's him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, he owned Adcock. Yeah, he had a Chevrolet dealership in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And he came that Saturday to pick up his motor in his van, and me and Doug were out there working. Robert came over and said, "Hey, Doug, come to the office." Doug went up there, and Grant was there picking up his motor, and he said, "Doug, I got an IROC ordered for you, but it hadn't come in yet." He said, "But Grant has a brand new red Corvette sitting in his showroom in Chattanooga." He said, "Which would you want that instead of the IROC, the Camaro?" And I said, I think he told Robert, "Well, yeah, 16-year-old with a brand new." So me and Doug got in Grant's van, had a motor in there, and I don't think Grant came under 100 going to Chattanooga at 12 o'clock at night on Saturday night. But we went all the way to Chattanooga, pulled in his dealership. We rolled that Corvette out, and I drove it a lot of the way back, but we came through Atlanta, Georgia, right through all that traffic that never sleeps.
No, it doesn't.
And I was driving that new, and I said, if I wreck this thing, I was all I could think about wrecking that car. But we made it home, and that was something else.
Yeah.
But then Grant, maybe the next year or that year, we were in Atlanta, and Grant was going in turn one down there, and he spun out or something, and he wrecked, and he got killed. Yeah.
Yeah, that was Grant Adcock's, and that was what Will Cronkrite said, and then Steve Knipe said was reminding us Grant Adcock's Chevrolet.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. We lost some good ones through the years, that's for sure.
I know.
It's a shame. You think about what Davey would have been.
Well, Davey, and then we lost. No, he'd already left our team when he got killed.
Kenny Irwin.
Kenny Irwin.
Right, yeah, he was at Savco with us.
But he got killed up there in Loudon, just same thing as Adam Petty.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we lost some real good ones, and then of course Earnhardt Senior or whatever.
Blaze Alexander at Charlotte.
Who?
Blaze Alexander. He was he raced in the Xfinity, the Busch Series mostly, but he was racing in ARCA that night.
Let's see. I know I've been.
But then there's Clifford Allison.
Isn't that something? I couldn't hardly believe that. Yeah. Yeah.
I had just.
And then 1 year later, Davey.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Crazy, isn't it?
And Davey always told me, he said, Clifford is a much better race car driver than me. And I'm thinking, I don't think so. I think Davey was better, but that was my opinion.
Yeah.
But I spent a lot of time with Davey going to shows down in Disney World and up in West Virginia and all that. Davey was fun, full of life, wasn't he?
He sure was.
Yeah.
I know that Robert seemed to consider him like another son. I mean, when we had the reunion before Robert passed away, he would talk about Davey, and then someone said, "Okay, tell us about your other son, basically Doug." So he starts talking about Doug, and then he starts talking about Davey. He kind of slid right into talking about Davey. again. And Doug was like, well, what about me, you know?
Well,
that was a classic
I'll
moment.
tell you what, Doug is just a chip off the old block.
Yeah.
He's right there. He got a great education, engineer.
He's Robert Yates with an engineering degree.
Yeah, he got the engineering degree from
it to the
NC
next-
State.
Took it to the next level.
5 years in NC State, and he was at the racetrack on weekends and everything else while he was in college. But man, what a guy!
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always was so impressed about Doug because he would, and I think Robert had the foresight to know that he needed to go and get an engineering degree. And not only was it going to help Doug's career, but it was going to help the team as well. And he probably wanted Doug to be there with him. I mean, obviously, you know, and Robert knew that the education was important, even though he struggled for a little while with his, but it was only because he was bored in the stuff he was doing, I believe, right? Because he had to get kind of like whipped into shape and told to go learn, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Robert did. Not Doug, but, you know.
Yeah. Doug has that vision of going up like 10,000 feet up and look down at the whole big picture and really see what's going on. See what the future is.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
He has that focus, too.
Yeah.
You know that when we merged with our engine shop with Jack Roush, and we had meetings about every 3 months about the money and stuff, and I always sit in there with beside Jack, and Robert would sit beside me, and then Jack's finance people would be on the other side of the table, and of course we'd always talk about monies and what we wanted to buy a machine, what we needed, a lot of things like that. And Jack always talked about Doug Yates, because Jack's son, Jack Jr., I don't think wanted to be in that racing thing. I never met Jack Jr. I knew his daughter was very much into Susan. She came down and picked up sheet metal and all because she sold everything up in where they were from in Michigan. But I never met Jack Jr., but he drove a race car some, you know. But he didn't, I don't think he wanted responsibility of a race team or anything evident. But Jack said, basically he said, I wish Doug was my son.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
I heard him
wild.
say that.
Oh, yeah, I mean, he said it, and it's like, wow.
You think about how instrumental that was having Doug, because Robert and Jack were just like
they were like
water.
oil and water.
Yeah.
I mean, oil and vinegar.
So
Fierce competitors.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, they sure were.
So Doug was instrumental in molding that together, making it happen too.
Right.
Just as much, I guess you could say. Will Cronkrite, did you see the comment?
No, but I've seen another comment. There is one question for you, Richard. What would you say your greatest moment, your memorable moment in NASCAR would have been?
I would say the greatest is when we were in Atlanta in 1999, and we won the championship. Now, we had the championship won several races before that by points, but to see Dale cross the finish line and what they had out there for us to, I mean, it was party time, celebration time. And I mean, they had this trailer all decorated up, and we went up there, and they, of course, they had the Winston, you know, it was a Winston Cup at the time. And it was just like, I said, if we get one, we may never ever see, well, we're going to enjoy this. And that was, I guess the greatest moment was then going to New York. I'd never been into the city, and staying in the Waldorf and having the banquet there and meeting all the Ford people and all the Texas.
Tell them about the plane that you and Robert got that you flew everybody.
An L-1011. I think carried about 300 or 400 people.
Oh my!
And we took the whole team on it, and it was like
everybody. It was incredible.
And we paid $99,000 for that charter.
Wow.
Wow.
And because Robert said we may not ever get to do this again, so we splurged, and went and did that, and took everybody and put them up in the Waldorf. I think it put some of them in another hotel behind the Waldorf because it didn't have enough rooms. But we spent Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in New York, and
I think you guys spent the whole championship money on the team, taking us to New York.
Who cares?
Wow, that's awesome, though.
It was incredible.
Hey there.
Robert was not.
Hold on a second.
Robert was different from a lot of people. A lot of people would have probably taken that money and put it in their bank account and bought their boats and their airplanes and all.
Right.
Robert, he spent it on the people that made him get there because he didn't do it by himself.
Mm-hmm.
That was the way we looked at it. If you, even the custodian, was the got the same amount of money, the same bonus money. He was part of the team. He kept the place clean. He kept did a lot of things that I don't think that a lot of other people got treated like.
Yeah.
But we want to treat everybody as people, as workers, and we wanted them to have a good life.
Mm-hmm.
Nick, do you have any headphones? You got yours still, Richard? We got a phone call here.
They might be able to hear it through the.
Okay, there we go. Hey there.
Go ahead and put yours on.
Hello.
Hello.
Ahead. Hey there. Hey, Will.
How are you?
Good. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. I've not had the pleasure of meeting Richard, but his sterling reputation precedes him. I've enjoyed the show so far, but I have a Robert Yates story. In 77, I was Rudd's crew chief, and we lost a motor in practice at the first Talladega race in 77, did not have a spare. I think Robert was working with DiGard, and he sold Al Rudd a used motor on credit. Obviously, we ran well, and we finished really high, and the part of the story I was enthused about was that the motor was $15 less than how much we won. So we finished well, got a good Robert Yates motor, and took home $15.
Oh. Hey, but that also helped Ricky Rudd get Rookie of the Year that year, right?
Yes, sir. We were pleased with that. I'm familiar with Robert's work and the quality of his team. But the Rudd that year we ran Rookie of the Year was 77. We ran that entire year with one car. We ran 20. Rick and I were together 25 races. In 10 of those races, we finished in the top 10, but he never crashed a car, wrinkled a fender at Rockingham, but we ran that entire season, won Rookie of the Year, and had one car, and in hindsight, I was pretty proud of that.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that was some good times back in those days.
Oh,
yes, sir, Richard, I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to meet you. You have a sterling reputation. I heard a lot about you even back when I was racing. Our paths just didn't cross. Now, I'm sorry about that.
Well, I'm sorry I never met you in person, but I've heard some very good things about you, Will. And maybe one of these days we'll see each other.
I'd like that. That'd be my pleasure.
Great. Okay.
That's all I got, guys. I just was wanted to say something. The only story that I had that had anything to do with the Yates, and it was a funny story, and they sure saved our butt that day.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I'm glad Robert had a lot of forethought about a lot of things like that, and he knew when to do something and when not to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, he was very kind to me and to Al Rudd that day, and I'm checking out of here. Old man's getting time for me to go to bed, but I've enjoyed the show. I always learn a lot watching your show, David.
Oh, well,
I'm
thank
going.
you. We learned
Bye-bye.
so much from you too. Talk to you later, Will. Yeah, that was Mr. Will Cronkrite there. He provided the first competitive car for Dale Earnhardt Sr. in 1978. So, but we're going to go ahead and wrap it up because we're actually on to the two-hour show now. But we're going to let Richard he was getting a little bit of a cramp. So
yeah, I got a cramp.
Yeah, I understand. It's a long It's a long time to sit.
That's okay.
You mentioned that earlier that you needed to stand up, and then I kind of forgot. So
no.
Yeah.
Everything's good.
All right. Well, is anybody in our crowd here? See you, Jeff. Have any?
See you, Jeff.
Yeah. Any parting words for Richard as he's gonna head back to? You're staying down there with Mr. Johnson here, right?
Tonight.
Yes. Tonight, yeah, and then you're headed back to Myrtle Beach down there.
Well, Florence, where my wife said at a nursing home tonight, but or this week.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Danny Salibi says hello. Who's tuned in?
Well, tell him to keep the power going.
Yes, that's it. Keep the power going. So we're going to say bye to Mr. Richard Yates, and thank you so much for coming in. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I'm glad I could make it.
Yep, and I'm sure that Doug's going to go back and watch this too.
Okay. Well, he's my mentor.
Yeah.
And he's great.
He is, isn't he?
So.
All right.
I love you, Doug.
There you go.
Okay.
That's right. All right, Richard. And thanks everybody so much for tuning in. If you have any questions, you can go back onto our YouTube, DHammiam. You can make questions, comments, go back and rewatch this, and whatever you want to do. I'll make sure that I get that question to Richard or to Nick or to any of our other listeners here, that we'll make sure we get those questions answered for you. And stick around for next Monday. We're going to have Chris Hecht. Do you know Chris Hecht, Nick? It's H-E-C-T, and it says it's spelled Hecht with a T on the end. So, yeah. So we'll have him in here in the studio with us, and that'll be at 7 o'clock next Monday evening. And maybe Richard will call in sometime and talk to us again. That'd be great.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. All right. To give us his infinite knowledge and all of his wisdom from being in this sport. All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in. Tracy, got any parting words?
Nope, just thanks for tuning in.
All right, and we'll see y'all next Monday. For Bryson, you got anything?
Well, no, I just want to say, Mr. Richard, it's an honor to meet you. I really enjoyed it. I think we've had a really good show tonight, so it's good to be here.
Yeah, well, good deal. Yeah, he's just 16 years young, but he's learning every Monday night.
Soaking it all in.
Okay, you want to be in broadcasting, maybe?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
So,
That's great. That's great. We need some good broadcasters.
Yep. That's it. All right. Well, y'all have a great evening. We'll see y'all next Monday on Racing Roots with Hamm.
It's March, and there's tons of things going on at Johnson Greenhouses. School prom will soon be here. Make sure to order